Welcome to the Service to Syndication podcast, where we interview the biggest and most successful real estate entrepreneurs, investors, capital raisers in the world who have worn the uniform of this great country, those who provide services to our men and women in uniform, and other service-oriented professionals to provide you with the tool sets, the mindsets, and the skill sets to help you conquer your dreams and goals in real estate and to use this wealth creation vehicle so you can live a more successful, happy, and fulfilled life of generosity and prosperity. If what you desire is time, lifestyle, and financial freedom, you've come to the right place. We will bring to you the best real estate entrepreneurs who will give you the insights, the knowledge, experience, skills, so you can go out and crush it in whatever real estate asset class you desire. So grab a pencil and paper, sit back, and enjoy the ride on the Service to Syndication podcast. Hello, my servicemen and women and other service providers. Welcome to another episode of the Service to Syndication Real Estate Podcast. I am your host, Cedric Marlowe. I am a U.S. Navy vet. Here on the Service to Syndication Real Estate Podcast, we interview the most successful real estate entrepreneurs, capital raisers in the world, where most have donned the uniforms of our great country. We aim to provide the tool sets, the mindsets, and skill sets for you to achieve your personal and business goals while using real estate as a wealth creation vehicle to help you live a more successful, happy, and fun-filled life. I am super excited today because I have with me Mr. Jeff Laass, who is a top-notch property manager. But before I properly introduce our exciting guest to you, I want to ask a favor of you. Please, if you get some value out of this interview, if you learn a new skill, receive new information, receive inspiration or motivation to go out and take some progress in your life, please share this episode with some of your friends. Send it to someone you know who might be or could be interested in real estate. Share it on your social media and post it on your wall and share it in your stories. Help us spread our message while you help others. And for all of you who share this episode, I want to say thank you. So, after serving in the U.S. Army in both domestic and overseas operations, including Desert Storm, Jeff transitioned into the world of real estate with the same discipline and strategic mindset that guided his military career. Over the past 2 decades, he's held leadership roles in both public and private sectors, including airport authorities, counties, and major real estate firms. He has developed and taught Arizona Department of Real Estate approved continuing education courses, commercial property management, and doing business at TUS. Today, Jeff is the senior property manager in Beverly Hills and Santa Monica, overseeing commercial real estate operations. He brings a unique perspective on leadership, property, strategy, and resilience. And he's here to share his journey from military structure to managing some of the most dynamic real estate portfolios in the country. First off, welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Cedric. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So, Jeff, before you became this very successful person I see in front of me, in about 2 to 3 minutes, give our listeners a little bit of your backstory, like where you grew up, how was your upbringing, and what in your past shifted your mindset into becoming the person you are today.
Well, I was born in New Jersey, lived there till I was about 5. We traveled across the country, coast to coast, ended up in a small town in Nebraska where I primarily grew up. I then went to college in Nebraska and New Jersey, graduated in Nebraska. Wasn't a great job market at the time, so I went into the Army. They had the loan repayment program, which was great to take care of my undergraduate loans. As you mentioned, I was in Desert Storm. I was stationed in Germany and then Washington State. While I was in Germany, after Desert Storm, I got involved with Boston University in a master's degree program. After I got out of the military, I returned to Boston, finished that program, and then a job opened up in Washington, D.C. for the international programs to take over a building to house their programs. And I got into that. So I managed both the facility and the students that were there for Boston University. And then I recruited another University of Notre Dame, and there were some other Ivy League schools there. So that was how I kind of got into property management. And then on a trip back to visit my mom in the Midwest, I saw a little nondescript, small black and white ad in the newspaper. Applied to that and got involved with CBRE in commercial property management. Got my real estate license, and then I've just taken off from there. I've been in the Midwest, Arizona, California a couple times, as you mentioned, at airports, and now back in managing commercial real estate in primarily Beverly Hills now.
Okay. Okay. Wow. You've done a lot of traveling, a lot more than I have.
I think I've lived in 9 states, DC, and then more towns and cities than that. Always an adventure. I look forward. Maybe it's my mom has that in her blood because she moved around as a newspaper editor several times. Um, so maybe that's where that came from. But I've enjoyed every move. I look forward to every challenge that's out there, learning and teaching something every day.
Yeah, that's great. So, Jeff, now tell us about your path from the U.S. Army into commercial real estate. Like, what parts of your military training do you still use every day, if any?
I think it's just being organized, having a plan, thinking out what you're going to do today, and then being able to pivot as things come up. Because in property management, there's always something that comes up. And I stress that with my teams from the aspect that it's not a true emergency unless it's fire, flood, or blood. And I've been through all of those in property management and at the airport. So that kind of helps them to set a standard of do we need to panic now, or can we really approach this with a planned approach. And even if you have to change paths to get to the goal, you can get there, and often you can change paths without, having something traumatic happen. And that's what I try to lead the people with. Let them make those kind of decisions where it's not, life and death. If it's life and death, I'm all there to make that decision so we know how to go forward because I've been through a lot of times more than what some of the people I work with have. So that's part of the training that I take with me every day.
Okay. All right. So, as I mentioned, you served during Desert Storm and later moved into public and private sector leadership roles. Was
Mhm.
there a single moment or mentor that made you realize that real estate was your calling?
I don't think there was a mentor that made me. It's just the fact that I always tinkered with things as a kid growing up, taking them apart, putting them back together, understanding how things work. Always had curiosity for how things work. And when I got into that first position with BU, it just made sense. There was so much that I know that applies in property management that it was just a natural fit. And then as I got into CBRE, I started getting some designations. It all made a lot of sense. It was kind of common sense type things that I learned through the different designations. And then with the CPM, it's a lot of finance stuff. I was able to incorporate that into what I do. And it just made a lot of sense and it felt like a right fit for me.
Okay. As I mentioned as well, like, you've held many leadership roles with the airport authorities, counties, major real estate firms. How does your leadership demands differ across these different environments?
I think maybe the specific role I was in, I was a VP one time, so that was more strategic than being a senior property manager. So you're dealing more with the strategy. Now I'm dealing with the operations day to day. But also with this, each company is a little different, and this company also incorporates some strategy into it. So I'm kind of going in both directions, dealing with the strategy, dealing with the operations, using the education I've had and the past experience I've had. I think time is also helpful, being more patient, giving more grace to people. I spend a lot of my days now listening to people come in, talk to me about what they see. We got the parking manager where I'm at. We've got a security director. We've got the tenant, which was interesting. We're doing a new amendment, and in the amendment, they were taking our office out. And I said, we're going to be off site if this amendment goes through. It might take a couple hours for us to respond. Well, they didn't like that. So they made sure to put back in the amendment that we would have a space in the building because they love coming down, talking to us in person, taking and showing us things. So that's kind of how my position has evolved. I think there will always, at this point, there will always be some strategy as well as operations,
Mhm.
whether I'm in the primary operations role or a strategic role, just because of the knowledge I have and the experience and education I bring. My boss has even said that. He looks to me sometimes to help him learn, and they really want to take me from the strictly operations role into somewhat of a teaching role for some of the other managers that don't have the same experience that I do.
Okay. Now, when a team has conflicting priorities, such as like operations, leasing, capital improvements. How do you prioritize and make those decisions under pressure?
Well, generally, you're not doing it on your own. You don't have a total say. We have asset managers who have a financial perspective, and we have some young ones now that are green in the business. So I listen to what they have to say.
Mhm.
Then I give them the story of why we're trying to do things operationally the way we are. And then we'll talk about it and we'll come up with a solution that works for all of us. We're actually going through that right now with that amendment I just mentioned. We've got a huge tenant improvement project we're going to have to do from the landlord for the landlord's work for the tenant. And we're just getting into that now of how we're going to approach that. And the tenant came to me and they say, "Hey, we have an engineer that wants to help out with this. They want to lead a couple portions." I'm like, "That's fine. They can lead it as long as we get our needs met." And they were good with that too. I'm very open with people and transparent, and they see that it's genuine. I really want to do what's best for them. When I first got into this position, I think the fifth manager last year. So they probably looked at me, "Oh, the next guy up, what's going to happen?" The meetings were very icy, about 45 minutes long. After a couple months, they saw I do more through action than words. They saw, "Oh gosh, this guy's actually getting things done for us." The meetings went down to 7 minutes, very warm. There wasn't a lot of contention because we were getting these projects going and completed that had been stagnated. So that's kind of how I approach it with differing opinions and viewpoints. We all have a similar goal. We want to improve the property. We also want it to be as economically run as fiscally run, responsibly run as possible. So it kind
Mhm.
of balanced those things. And as you know, you don't need to battle over everything. There's some things that you definitely have to have. Like when they were going to move us out of the building, I saw that wasn't a good move for the tenant or us as the management company. We also own it. So I saw from that perspective, hey, it'd be good to have us in here. So I just put that little seed out there that the people I work with from the tenants, and they saw the value too. So they made it happen that we were staying in the building.
Okay. Yeah, like when you were just talking about the team once you came on, they were looking at you as like, okay, let's see what this guy is about, right? And then you just started once they saw that you were there to get things done. I don't know about you, but I know for myself, I can kind of attribute that back to me being in the military because all of the leadership that I've had since being in the military, I've had that mentality. Just get it done. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, you might be on a team and you guys are just sitting around just trying to figure out like what we're gonna do, what we're gonna do. We're talking about it, just brewing or being mad about, and then all of a sudden I'm like, look, it's not gonna get done unless we get it done. And I literally just take hold and I just go. I run with it. I get the job done and we can cry about it later. But if you're
Yeah,
just sitting there brooding about it, it's not going to get done.
right.
Action. It's all about action.
Yeah, and I find a lot of people want to get things done, and I like to take the point that I'll let some junior person lead on a little project. Again, it doesn't have huge implications, but it means something to what we're doing, and it gives this person the opportunity to lead, also to grow their skills, and they seem to appreciate that. Then I act as a part of, "I'm helping you out. What can I do to help you with this project?" So they see that someone that they report to is actually, kind of putting themselves in a lower position to serve them. And it's worked really well that they appreciate that. As I said, I got people coming to me all day, the parking guy coming and seeing things with the building and the security guy seeing things that could be done. And I appreciate that. He did a walk for us one morning and found lights that were out. I'm like, thank you so much for that. Happened to
Mhm.
be there doing something else. And he remembered me mentioning some lights out and his guards hadn't reported. So he did that walk and provided that. He put the work order in. That was awesome. I appreciated that so much. The additional set of eyes and the care and the buy-in that we're all working together to make this property better, and it benefits all of us.
Yep. I totally agree. So, as a senior property manager overseeing assets in Beverly Hills and Santa Monica, what market specific factors drive your property strategy in those submarkets?
These are all Class A properties. The ones in Santa Monica we just acquired because of the way we do things. One of our investors like, "Hey, I want you to take over these properties that I have." So we took over those as well. We're operating the way we operate those, kind of getting them up to par. They were below par for a long time. So we just look at it to do it the way we take care of every other property. Just get them up to the standard, get things done, find out what the tenants need. Because without the tenants, we don't really have a job. So we really need to, what do you need that we can do? And we, of course, balance that fiscally with what we can do and what we're not allowed to do, based on company metrics. And we do that in the Beverly Hills. They're Class A properties. One's a huge concert promoter, the other's a worldwide talent agent.
Okay.
They're great to work with. People said they're so difficult, but they know what they want. You just have to get it done. And I appreciate when people are clear, we want this done. And as I said, I got things done, and these meetings warmed up a lot. They're like, wow, this guy's doing stuff. We're doing a couple parties this week and the next week for our tenants. We're gonna have Christmas carolers and a festive sweater contest and a photo booth and food and drink, and they love it. We did a huge event for Mother's Day. We had about 1,000 flowers. People could make a bouquet, take it to whomever they want. We didn't say it had to be for your mom, but they
Hmm.
lined up outside on the plaza. That's a benefit of being in Beverly Hills in April and May as the weather's nice. But they love that event. We just started doing more events, and they really do appreciate those. So that's kind of we give them white glove treatment,
Yeah.
and just what can we do to help you? And I'm even working with the tenants. What can I help you on your projects? Not even that I'm related to, but how can I help you do what you're doing? And
Hmm.
they appreciate that so much that we've really blended, even though we're a tenant and management owner, really blended together where the teams come together very often. And you can't tell that we're working for different companies because we've worked so well together now.
No, that's huge. Giving white glove treatment to your tenant base, I mean, like that's huge. That goes a long way.
Yes.
Yeah. So Jeff, so walk us through a recent operational challenge you faced on a commercial property and how you solved it, like in the end, from like diagnosis, team action, and outcome.
Let's see.
There may not have been a challenge,
I'm trying
that
to
look
think.
that can be a testament to, your white glove treatment, to your tenant base.
I'm trying to think of something recently.
Or it can be something in the past.
Yeah, I think at Ontario Airport, we came out of COVID and people were starting to park more at the airport. The holidays were coming around. We needed more parking. I'd
Okay.
recently did a new agreement with the parking manager, and in their agreement, it allowed them to do capital improvements. Where normally at an airport authority, you've got to go through a long, drawn out process. So we had that language to work with. We had the land. We got design. In the end, we got a parking lot designed and built in 6 months.
Wow.
Even went through the city for what that was involved, and we had a retention pond in there as well. Asphalt put in, parking equipment, so it's touchless parking entry. You make your reservations online, or you can pay with a credit card. So we got that open within 6 months. So that was a that would normally take about 2 years to do. So that was a huge accomplishment to get that parking, and that parking was to serve as the empty chair because then we are going to renovate the rest of the parking lots because they hadn't been done in over 20 years. So that was one of the things I did. The other one at the airport was again during COVID. We needed to get a COVID testing clinic so we could fly to Hawaii. I got the agreement done and the clinic open in 6 days.
Wow.
So that was another cool accomplishment. And then just this is all in Ontario. And then I filled a bunch of empty bays with restaurants. Did an agreement with a local Dunkin' Donut franchisee. He opened within the first month. He said, "Man, my business is 50% above what I expected. I want to open in the other terminal." We did a major agreement with food and beverage with SSP to renovate all the outlets. I did another franchise agreement with a local Subway franchisee.
Hmm.
Um, we changed our marketing from static marketing to digital marketing. We got Sammy Hagar involved with the airport because he's from the local area. There was a lot of things. Did a lounge agreement, new lounge agreement, got that open where the airport was making money off of that. That was a lot of fun, getting these things open and seeing the airport revitalized from that aspect. Because when I got there, it was a really sad, tired food and beverage program. People didn't really look to eat there at all. And then
Hmm.
once we got these things in, we had lines in the morning for Dunkin'. And it was really cool to see that and see the revitalization of that.
Yeah. No, that is huge. Like for some people who may be listening to this, who maybe have never had to deal with a municipality to get anything approved, that can literally be 12 months, 18 months, 24 months before you even start to dig. And in
Yes.
order to get a parking lot approved and built in 6 months, I mean, that is just remarkable.
Yeah, that was quite an accomplishment. Another good one was I got the airport. We had old diesel shuttle buses and I think CNG that we leased. Well, I got the airport authority and everybody I worked with there to agree we should get electric buses because California's got that referendum. They're supposed to have them by 2035. So we got a fleet of 8 electric buses in. We got them all branded to Ontario's colors. We had some marketing inside. We had an automated system to let people know where the next stop was. It just really improved the overall shuttle bus system. So that was an accomplishment that I was pretty proud of as well to improve that experience for our customers.
Oh, okay.
And then, as I mentioned earlier, we were talking offline about that plane at L1011 at Tucson that I was
Yes.
able to find a new home for that. A guy from Kansas City knew we had it there because there's not, it was one of less than a handful in the world that had stairs in the front that were at the lower level. So he wanted that. And it was great to get it off the airfield, watch him ferry it, not him, but ferry it out of Tucson back to Kansas City to use for a STEM program at the airport there. So that was nice to see that plane get a future use versus just sitting there for about a decade.
Yeah, definitely sitting there rusting and, just
Hmm.
taking up space basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
So now, how do you balance, say, short-term tenant needs with the long-term capital planning on office, retail, medical properties, and the like?
Geez, I don't have to deal with that anymore. Our tenants are all long term.
Okay.
Our concert promoter wants to be there forever, they said. The other tenant, talent agency, they just renewed for another 10 or 11 years. So they're long term. Um, the properties in Santa Monica, two are single tenant. One of is a great story. They bought a building before we took over these properties. They were preparing to move out their end of the lease because of the work that myself and Jasmine did when they met with our asset manager. Like, we're going to stay here. Your property managers are really good. And we didn't do that much with them. But as I said before, when they had a need, we took care of it. And we
Mhm.
would contact, not frequently, just contact them, let them know we're here. If you need anything, we'll take care of it. I think we walked the property a couple times, looked at some issue. They had a minor roof leak. We took care of that. They had a skylight that had a crack. We replaced that. But because of that little, they're like, we're going to stay. And they're also going to use their other building that they bought. So that was a huge testament. And we got some good kudos from the asset team for that because they were preparing for them to move out and needing to release it. So that was good there. And then the other building, they're all long-term tenants too, and they like being there. And we just so I haven't had short-term tenants. I can't think of a building where I've had short-term tenants because everything I've gone into has mostly been assets that are being held long-term, and then the owners do it right. They want to take care of their tenants. They get, good rent for it too, but they want to take care of their tenants. And since I got into the business, my first mentor, Mr. Harmson, when I first saw him, I thought he was a janitor or something because he dressed very plain. But he was multimillionaire. Was a CPA at one time. It was kind of like Monopoly. He bought a piece of land with a partner. They had to sell out because of issues, and then he moved up from land to houses, and then from houses to commercial buildings. And then he began managing and owning the buildings. So I learned a lot from him of how to take care of tenants. Because he told me one time the tenant came to him with a sign, and one was 1,000 and one was 3,000. Which one are you looking at? Well, the cheaper one. He said, well, I'll pay the difference for the more expensive one. Because he said if you get a tenant that stays long term, you don't have to do those turnarounds. Where another new tenant comes in, well, we got to change this office by 6 inches. Well, then you have to redo the flooring and the HVAC and the sprinklers, and it's not worth the cost to make that turnover. So it's better to keep your tenants long term. I remember he had tenants in apartments long term, and he would give them, hams, I think at Christmas and turkeys at Thanksgiving, and they just loved it. And he had a waiting list for years of people who wanted to get into his apartments because he just gave that extra treatment. They just loved the care that he showed. So I kind of
Yeah.
learned from him as well as my own approach from the military of, look long term. And I really haven't had people leave buildings. I had one tenant I remember left because we didn't have any more room for them to grow and they were growing. So they needed to move to another building, but they were happy being there.
Yeah. For everyone listening, one of the biggest expenses is a turnover. Whenever a tenant leaves, you have to go in, redo it, fix it up, and get it prepped and ready for the new tenant who's going to come in. So that is
You've
a
got
huge expense and a time suck as well, because
you've got the holding period when no one's in there paying any rent.
there you go.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Mr. Armson, he cleared a building out because one of his buddies owned the company. He said, "We'll take that building over." So on the phone call, he agreed. So he moved his tenant out that was there into another building to allow this, I think it was a telemarketing company, to move in and take over the entire building. So I also learned, good relationships, handshakes.
Hmm.
There's still value in that.
Yeah, totally agree.
Just treat people well.
Yeah. So, what are the most common mistakes property teams make in tenant communications and the simple fixes you would recommend?
I think it's not listening well to what people are saying.
Mm,
Repeat what they say so you're sure you understood the message they're trying to convey. And then you have to have things in writing because you'll have conversations. I just had one the other day with a tenant. We had a tenant meeting, and 3 hours later, the leader of that team's asked me what we're going to do about cleaning the windows. And I said, well, in the meeting, and it was on the agenda, we had the date of when we're going to clean those windows. So it works both ways, listening and then confirming that people got the message you want to send, and then you receive what they want. And that's following up in writing what you've had verbal, just to document so everyone understand. And it's also another instance for people to read that and go, oh, no, that's not what I meant, or yes, I did, and confirm. So you have clear communication. But yeah, communication is so important.
yes.
Um, and you can always get better at it.
Absolutely. And I mean, even to this day myself, it's that, I'm so excited about whatever it is I'm talking about, and me listening has, I'm really, really, really starting to try to learn a little bit more about listening more, talking less, you
Yes,
know.
it's important to listen to understand what they're saying, and you may be so excited to say what you want to say that you don't really listen and comprehend what's being said because you're so excited to say what you have to say that you can miss part of the message that the other person's trying to convey.
Yep, that's it. That's how it goes. So, like in premium markets like Beverly Hills, where you're at, tenant expectations, I assume, to be high. Now, how do you ensure service excellence without eroding your NOI?
Our tenants are triple net, so they pay for everything.
Okay.
So we don't have that much of a concern from that aspect. In buildings where it's full service, you do have to balance what you can give with your NOI. And sometimes you have to go to the tenants and say, we would love to do that for you. We can take care of it for you, but you might have to share in the expense. And just again, be crystal clear with them about it. And usually they'll understand. If they don't, you can go into, our NOI and our CAMs, and we can only do this much, but we can definitely take care of it, but we'll need you to share in the cost with us. And usually being that open, they'll understand because they also understand they have, fiscal restrictions as well. So you can come to an understanding of what you can do. And if they share in it, fine. They may not need it. They may have been a want. So I just approach it that way, as clear as possible.
Okay. For people who may be listening who may not know what triple net is, can you explain that a little bit?
Well, that means all the expenses. It would be the CAM, it would be the insurance, and it would be the taxes. Those basically comprise the triple net, the three N's in the triple net.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
the biggest complaints to date from every building I've ever been in is HVAC,
Yep.
keeping people comfortable. Ideally, what people would do would find out who has a similar temperature preference. Do you like it hot or you like it cool? And group those people together, and then cleaning, the janitorial. Those are the two things that always have come up throughout my career in the Class A and B buildings that I've had over time. And I've had medical office and retail and self-storage and industrial and airports. Those are the things that come up, the comfort and the cleanliness.
Okay. But with the triple net lease, isn't the tenant in charge of the cleaning or
No,
how
we're in
do
charge
you?
of it. They pay the cost. We will maintain the space.
Okay. Okay.
So for
Wow.
these in Beverly Hills, we do everything in there and they pay for it.
Oh,
They
nice.
appreciate us being able to take care of that and be the front on that so they don't have to deal with that headache so they can focus on their core business.
There you go.
And also with these businesses, often we have to take care of things outside of business hours. Again, so we don't interrupt their core business. We'll do things before or after hours or on the weekend.
Okay. Got it. All right. So now you developed Arizona Department of Real Estate approved courses, commercial property management, doing business at TUS. What gaps in the industry knowledge were you trying to close with those classes?
The director of the school came to me and asked me if I'd want to teach. I can't remember how he found me, but I developed those courses And they are primarily attended by residential real estate agents, wide-eyed agents who had wanted to get into commercial, wanted to understand it. And it was also nice because generally I don't know if you're licensed too, but the course you have to take for continuing ed are very dry. So they
Hmm.
appreciate these because I went through the stories in the commercial property management class of things that I've encountered along the way. One of my first build at Boston University, it was raining and it was flooding in the basement. We just did drywall and I saw a drain was plugged. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's in here, but I got to put my hand in and get it out. It could be a dead squirrel, whatever. But it was a bunch of maple leaves that had ponded in there. And once I pulled those out, it drained. So I share stories like that. I actually have some audio from the airport. We had a fatality at Tucson that happened with a business jet. So I share the stories and what you do in commercial property management, a management agreement, the different leases we have, the different service providers, the different levels of classes. And then I also share about the certifications you get because I've got certification from BOMA and I've got certification from IRM and how those benefit you. And then the class doing business at TUS was all about TUS and it was also from the aspect, hey, there's opportunities for you agents to do business at TUS. There's leases that go on out there for restaurants and retail and even on the airfield. So it was all about that and about how we have our own fire department there, a police department there, talked about the lounge, talked about what goes on at an airport. So the residential agents were the primary attenders of those. They loved those. They had a lot of questions afterwards. I do some consulting also in property management. I got a consulting gig from one of those, but people would come up and ask me questions about what I do and sometimes about their business. So that was a lot of fun to be able to share that with an audience over. I think it was did it for about 3 years when I was there, but that was very enjoyable and I think beneficial. And as I said, it was a nice refresh for people that were renewing their license to be able to take a class that wasn't, about lead-based paint or asbestos or just something dry. You still have to take some of those courses, but these were general ed. So I think there were 6 credits. You can kind of choose what you can take. So it was great to be able to offer. So I wish I could have taken the class myself. So it was a nice offering to be able to put out there, and it was fun for me as well.
Okay. So since you just talked about, it being fun, what are three practical takeaways you try to give every student by the end of your classes?
I think open their eyes of what commercial property management is about.
Hmm.
Also, what other properties there are to manage. I'm in a next generation council with IRM to bring in new managers into the industry. So I let people know that there are seaports that you can manage. There are the airports, of course, you can work at, as well as the traditional apartments, industrial, office, and retail. There's a lot of different properties. I also managed communication towers when I was with the county. Parks. I had a park when I was in Omaha that was attached to an office building. We'd done a brownstone redevelopment. So on the bottom, there was different kinds of retail, movie theater, a restaurant, a hotel. Then up above, there were condos and apartments. And then the park was attached to it. The city owned the park, but we had to manage the park. So we took care of all the grounds, the mowing of it. But then in the winter, we also got to build a sledding hill using part of the park. So there's so many different types of assets that you can manage that people don't always think about. So I want to give that as well, that, open your eyes. There's other types of properties and real estate is involved in everything. Everything sits on some kind of real estate. People are like, what's at an airport? I mean, what do you mean what's at an airport? The planes have to sit, land somewhere and park somewhere and then
Right.
serve those customers with all the different, methods that we've talked about. So just, I think, give that to people that there's that opportunity and it can be an exciting field to be in as well. It's not dry as some people think. A lot of people don't even think about property management as a field. They think of when you say, I'm a realtor or I have a real estate license. Do you sell houses? No, I've never sold a house. I helped, buy my own one time and I helped another buddy buy a building. But other than that, I've never done the sale of property type, but there's a lot of other things you can do. So I like to impart that on people that there's other opportunities in real estate besides just, helping people buy or sell a house.
Right. I got you. Hey, Jeff, can you tell us about a time you had to lead through a crisis, like other than like the pandemic, which is probably most recent, and what you've learned from it?
I think it was a fatality at Tucson Airport. Part of the airport was closed. The plane had gone over the main terminal, landed in a gate area. Thankfully, there were no 737. Usually, they were up to 737s there, but there wasn't. It was 2 people on board, but that side of the airport was closed, and I had to a sense of mind to think I need to contact the airlines who are on the other side of the airport and
Hmm.
have, I think it was United American, have them work together and share gates so we could get the people out that were there. And flights were still, they wanted the flights to come and go. So I just had them work together to share their gates. Normally, airports own a gate and they only use that. That airline uses those gates.
Yeah.
We didn't have any shared gates at Tucson. So I had a sense of mind to do that. My boss commended me on that during that crisis, I was able to think about that and keep that side of the airport going, allow us to get people in and out of the airport. So that was probably one that I worked through. And that I think came back to the military training. Just, yes, it's a crisis. What can we do now to help avert it and mitigate it to whatever extent we can? So while the firemen and others were doing their things, the side of the fatality, I was with the airlines to have them work together to get their passengers in and out.
Okay. Hey Jeff, have you ever had to build like redundancy into operations so one surprise, such as like an eviction, major repair, or tenant default, doesn't derail an entire portfolio?
I've changed out a card access system in a building, and we did that while we kept the existing card access system up. So I
Okay.
communicated with the tenants, hey, we're going to take this old system down on your floor, integrate the new system. So you're going to have two cards for a little while. So I went through that, and that was a several week process. That was a Class A building, my first one in Omaha that I did. And that also involved parking. So it would include their parking as well as their floor. So they have two cards at a time, but we did that after hours. We had a very set schedule. You know, it's going to happen this day. You're gonna have two cards for a while, then we'll take down the old one on your floor. Then we'll take your old cards back. You'll just use your new cards. We just went through that very methodically. That involved a lot of communication by email and then in person. We had our engineers check in with them, let them know, okay, it's happening today.
Hmm.
By tomorrow, the new one will be active. We had our engineers checking to ensure the new one worked. Of course, we did all the checks on the cards beforehand to ensure the new cards would work when the new system was up. Just very methodical, pragmatic, and constant communication with the tenants as they would become involved. And that worked very well. It was a very seamless system. I don't know why they put in a card access system that had active cards, which means the batteries are in the cards. So as soon as they're manufactured, it's starting to wear out.
Okay.
And then the engineer who put it in there, I guess he didn't do great research. He was excited about it. It was a system that wouldn't work well around steel or concrete. And
Mm.
buildings are all steel and concrete. Because I remember
Right.
our owner outside, he was waving his card up in the air and on the ground, trying to get into the building. It locked well, it just wouldn't unlock reliably. So we ended up going through, and that was the building was only a year old at that time. We went through and had
Wow.
to change out the system, spent I think it was 100 grand or so to put in a traditional system that was tried and true.
Yeah.
That was one that we used a very methodical, pragmatic process to get that project started and completed.
Okay. So now, how is prop tech changing, say, day-to-day property management? And is there any platforms you say that are indispensable right now?
We use AI a lot now to help write better emails, to add fluff where fluff is needed. I'm not a real fluff writer. I'm more to the point, get to the business, take care of things. But some people enjoy the fluff. So we've incorporated AI for that and also for research. I've used AI to research. I had an engineer who wasn't great about finding parts that we needed. So I would use AI to help me source parts houses. And I recently had to find a $700 flush valve for a toilet. I had to find a transformer for a exterior fixture. Property managers usually don't do this, but because I have the knowledge, I dive in, especially when they're not moving quick enough to get things restored to provide that white glove service. So I've used AI to help research those things, and it's been very beneficial. When you put in the right prompts, you have to give it the right questions and information to get, it's garbage in, garbage out. You have to put in
Yep.
great information to get great information out. So that's been very helpful. We don't use anything else. I know like a multifamily will have bots that will answer general questions about, do you have an apartment available? What's the rent? What's the sizes? When are they open? We don't we don't use it in that aspect. I'm trying to think of any other new prop tech that we're using. With some buildings, the elevators they'll be smart elevators where you'll have them home on certain floors And then at periods when you're going to have high traffic, like at lunch, they will go to certain floors where you're going to serve a lot of people to get people down and out. And then when lunch is over, they'll be pretty much based on the first floor for people to get in and to go back to their offices. So the smart elevators, I had a smart system in Tucson at a electric corporation's headquarters, where when you come in the front door and you scan their card, it knows where you're going to, so it knows what elevator to bring down, it knows what lights to activate, what HVAC unit you're going to be using.
Hmm.
That was also a LEED gold building, so I got into LEED a little bit and found out you get more points. You also save your HVAC system by putting a certain length of matting in, because that takes a lot of dust off of people's feet, keeps the dust from getting into the HVAC filter system, which keeps those cleaner, which can reduce your filter changes, keep your air cleaner, so it can save you on the cost of filter changes, and also providing cleaner air for your occupants. So that's
Wow.
some of the prop tech that's out there that is incorporated in some of the newer buildings. The buildings I've got primarily, one is a 40-year-old and the other is a 100-year-old. The 100-year-old, you wouldn't know it. It used to manufacture ice inside of it. It was converted to office in the 60s, and it's gone through several renovations.
Hmm.
We don't have the highest prop tech in there. The 40-year-old, we're going to do some renovations soon. I think we will incorporate some more into it with this opportunity to do a major renovation.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen those elevators where, you scan your ID and it takes you right to your floor. You don't have to
Yeah,
punch anything.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just right to your floor. So I definitely understand those. Yeah.
I
So
think
Jeff,
camera systems have gotten more technical. They've gotten better visual on them. They find people, because we have paparazzi that run around one of these buildings at times, so it's helpful. We have to use it sometimes to find out who was there and identify what happened. We're incorporating some better camera systems now. They've got longer storage, digital versus analog. So that's one prop tech that we are making those improvements with.
that is really crazy that you guys have paparazzi just running through your buildings, just
We're not through it, but outside. They're
outside. Yeah.
outside. They're seeing some of the celebrities that come by, and they're wanting to get their photos, and we're keeping them off the prop. The security director's out there keeping them off the prop. You got to stay on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Just to get a photo to sell. Oh my God.
Yes. Yes.
There's got to be an easier way to make a living, trust me.
Exactly.
Jeff, you're listed in the U.S. Green Building Council profiles and have experience across different property types. How important is sustainability, green operations to tenants and investors in your markets?
It's important to our investors that invest in our buildings, and we have a lot of different programs that we operate for sustainability. We track our utilities each month. We track which is the electric, water, gas, trash. We do extensive water testing. One building, unfortunately, has groundwater that we have to test every month, but then we also test our cooling tower water. Then we have a company that reviews the results of the water testing. It's a little overkill in one of them, but we do a lot of water testing. We run certain filters to filter the air. We look at solar when we have the opportunity to. These two buildings don't have enough space on the roof to incorporate much solar, but I did consider it last year. We got into it a little bit. It was most important we get the lease done first. I think now that it's done, we can look at some more sustainability. Oh, that's right. One of the first projects I did when I got to these buildings was upgrade the EV chargers and incorporate some more EV charge. That was a project that was stalled, so I got an upgrade done on several and then installed more, because the one tenant provides charging for their employees' vehicles. So, and we run it all day long. We've got valet parking, run the cars through there to get them charged. So that was important to them to have EV chargers. We're looking at the building next door to install a couple there. We use low flow fixtures for to reduce the water usage. Upgrading, if it's not already, all the light will be upgraded to LED again to reduce the electricity consumed as well as the heat load, which can reduce your HVAC requirements. So those are all part of what we look at. We're going to install new film on the windows, the perimeter windows, with this huge tenant improvement project, which will also reduce the heat gain. And then for the occupants, it'll improve the UV filtering. So that's good for their personal health.
Okay. Man, this has been really, really entertaining and informative. But Jeff, before I let you get out of here, if you could go back and give yourself one concrete piece of advice over your career, what would it be?
I think just patience, to have found patience sooner
Okay.
in my expectations. I found it in the last probably 10 years or so, but I could have found it a little earlier. It would have been beneficial even sooner than I discovered
Understood.
it.
Understood. It's that military, like, hey, let's
It-
just get it
Get it
done.
done.
Charge
Yep.
ahead.
Yep. Yep.
Don't have time to wait around. So that
Exactly.
patience,
Exactly.
yeah,
I've
I'm
always
right there
been
with you.
always been positive, but it just been a little more patient sooner. It would have been much more beneficial.
Nice, nice. So Jeff, outside of the office, what recharges you? What do you do?
Well, I go to the beach with my daughter and roller skate. We go like 7 to 10 miles. And then I've been in bike MS for the last 5 years. I usually only ride the 50-mile ride, but I do that on a team. Started in Ontario. They wanted to sponsor a team. They wanted someone from the airport, and I was the only one they found that biked. So I've stayed with that team. Ontario doesn't sponsor it anymore, but the team has stayed together and grown. So I do that every year. That's usually in October. And I've also been in a few movies as an extra. One a long time ago, Enemy of the State. It was with Will Smith and Gene Hackman and John Voight in DC, and I've done some other couple things recently around here, small things, and then just supporting my family how I can, get the joy out of that, and then every day I just try to learn or teach something. I really get joy out of sharing with others, and then what I can learn from everybody I come into contact with, and just always striving to do better. So that keeps me going.
Hmm. I love it. Well, Jeff, it has been a blast having you as our guest today. As we close out, please tell our listeners where we can learn more about you, get in touch with you, and learn about all the fabulous things you have going on right now.
Probably LinkedIn is the easiest place to find me. You can search me on there. I will post things very frequently on there. And if someone wanted to get in touch with me, that's probably the easiest way to find me.
Awesome. Jeff, again, I want to thank you for your time today and all the wisdom you have provided to my listeners. It's greatly appreciated. And I want to thank you, our fans, for tuning into the Service, the Syndication Real Estate Podcast, where we want to add value to you and your investing business. Please tune in to our next episode where we will interview another fantastic real estate professional. Thanks for listening to the Service to Syndication podcast. We want you to know that we love and appreciate your support, and we are grateful about being a part of your journey to becoming a successful real estate entrepreneur. Please share this episode with a friend who you think will get a lot out of what you just heard. Send it to someone who you know is interested in real estate and dreams of having it all and being the best they can be in all areas of life. And if this was really valuable, share it on your social media stories and timelines. Thank you for watching and listening. Now go be great.